Thank you very much for joining me on this series of videos that I'm producing on writing a proposal. And we have been going through a series of important steps that you need in order to develop your proposal and to organize your thoughts on this very important project that you are undertaking. You might be interested in doing a short research essay or a large PhD project. So theory is something that we normally try to leave to the experts, people who have been working on in the study of religion for a very long time. I'd like to share with you some important thoughts and methods that you might want to use when you are thinking about your theory. So first of all, let me say that in general, a theory is a kind of a frame that helps you to limit your attention to a particular aspect of your broad study. So with the literature review, you know now the kind of dominant traditions that exist in your particular field. These are the people who are the movers and the shakers in your particular subject that you have chosen. So you know exactly what A and B are saying. You probably even know that you lean towards one or the other. But how do you make a significant contribution, particularly a significant contribution from the study of religions? So what I'd like to suggest to you is that use theory in order to focus your attention in a particular way. So theory is like a frame for a camera. You know that when you are looking at a particular view at a view of a scenery, your eyes are able to focus, at least, or to bring in a whole range of data, and sometimes this is quite important that you allow that to happen, and it's very much part of how you look at the world. You're not always aware of everything that your eyes are actually absorbing, but when you want to take a photograph, then you are forced to use the frame and focus on a particular aspect of that picture. You might want to look at the sunset, or you might want to look at the image of a mountain, or a photograph, or a person, and then you use the frame of the lens in order to limit. I don't want to focus on the fact that you are limiting yourself. I want to focus on the fact that you are using the frame in order to highlight something from this broader view in front of you. So a theory is very much a kind of an enabling device to say that, well, in this case you are looking specifically at that dimension. So now that you've got more or less your question, your concrete question, you know the kind of debates that are going around this question, now you're saying, okay, from the study of religion, I want to focus on something that has generally been overlooked by others. And this is how I would like you to think of the study of religion, as a kind of an enabling method, as an enabling theoretical set of tools that you might want to use. So I'd like you to go back to the concrete question, and you identify what is it that you want to look at. Are you focusing your attention on the speech that is taking place? You're focusing your attention on the actors, on the actions. You are focusing attention on perhaps on the stories that are being told, in this particular subject that you're looking at. You're looking at on the education that is taking place. Once you identify this particular concrete action or concrete aspect in your question, then you turn to the study of religion, to the history of the study of religion, and you start looking at what are the dominant voices that have made a significant contribution to our understanding of the study of religion. So if your focus is perhaps on the narratives, then you might want to start looking at how initially in the study of religion people started identifying myths. The scholars then started talking about what kind of myths there are, Initially, the scholars were saying, well, there's a very big difference between myths and history. Later, then they broke down those kind of distinctions and still continued to see what kind of role, what is the function, what is the essence of these stories in the study of religions. So the way I'm trying to, what I'm doing is that once you focus on the aspect, then you start focusing on the kind of discussion that has been happening in the study of religion around these abstract ideas, around these general ideas. So you might be interested in the myths that are told in Islam. Then you start looking at the study of religion and what in general we know about myths in the study of religion. You might want to look at a particular ethical practice. Then you turn around in the study of religion and look at what are ethics in general. How do we think about ethics? What are the major figures? So you might find that you are doing a little bit of a review literature but this time you are doing a review on the theories in the study of religion, on the theoretical giants in the study of religion. So I'd like you to look at people like David Chidester. You might want to look at Jonathan Z. Smith. You might go back all the way into van der Leeuw. You should look at them critically, but you also lean on them. You also depend on them to develop your own particular model. So think of theory as a kind of a framework that brings your attention to a particular subject. A lens might be thought of as a limiting framework, so you leave out everything else. But then you turn around and use it as an enabling framework to begin to highlight something that is going on here. You've already identified in your concrete question what you are looking at. You might be looking at how these things are happening. What is the questions of how and what and when that you have been posing in your concrete question. You use that as a way to begin an exploration in the study of religion and what scholars like David Chidester, Jonathan Z. Smith, and others have highlighted about practices. They've highlighted about phenomena. They've highlighted something more insights about mythologies and myths and practices and discourses. And these are the people that you would be looking at as such, to help you to bring out the aspects of the phenomena that you have identified in your question, to make some serious conclusions about that, to produce a kind of a model about what goes on when we speak about ethics, what goes on in the discourse of religion in NGOs, what goes on in a life trajectory of a Muslim activist who is engaged in the fight against AIDS. We know what other scholars are saying. We know what political scientists are saying in our literature review. We might even get good historical essays on this phenomena. But now you are turning to the study of religion, and you are bringing in the very special contribution that the study of religion brings to the subject. And you do it through a theoretical lens. You do it through a theoretical model that brings out an aspect that has been ignored or that has been overlooked in the political studies, or that has been analyzed insufficiently or perhaps even erroneously in other studies. So I hope that these few remarks on theory help you to think about the theory that you might want to use, and I wish you well in this important endeavor.